Good morning. It is Thursday, the 7th of September, and you're joining me on the dog walk in the community orchard because we haven't been here in a while, and it is bursting with fruit. It's beautiful and it's glorious. If you hadn't heard, summer arrived. Who knew? Finally. So these apples are enjoying the sunshine, my tomatoes have been enjoying the sunshine, and yeah, I think everybody has really. It's been a long time coming, so really lovely. I am working today and I work all day tomorrow, so it's a quick episode this week, I think. We will head down to the allotment as part of the dog walk and have a little look round there, and maybe do a couple of bits in the home garden. But yeah, pretty lovely. I wanted to stop by the medlar tree, which you can see behind me, because this tree was half the size last year. It's absolutely burst into life. So yeah, nobody around here is particularly interested in medlars, or they weren't in previous years, so we should get a nice little harvest from that. You are allowed to come into the orchard and pick apples for personal use, and it's a bit strict at the moment, so one of the gates is closed because we're just a couple of weeks away from our annual apple day. So they brought it a little bit earlier this year, so it's the weekend of the 23rd of September, and that's when the orchard opens. Well, it's always open to the public, but it opens for a special day where there's a little bit of a bouncy castle thing going on, some stalls and things, and they bring in one of the old apple presses, so people collect the apples and then make juice. So it's all very nice. Mum and I have been collecting quite a few of the windfalls and cutting them up to freeze. And some of the apples are absolutely delicious, and it's one of the joys of this time of year is that when I'm on the dog walk in the morning or the evening, just come by the orchard, grab an apple and munch it on the dog walk. So I thought I was going to be here early enough that it would be really quiet down here, but my plot neighbours are here. Not Mark. Don't care if Mark's here, but that does mean I'm going to be probably a little bit self-conscious. So if I seem weird, that's why. But there are some things I really want to show you on here, because we've had some new additions to the plot. One of which, troublemakers. So let's see if they're still here. Oh, well, there's a troublemaker for a start, but you're not the one I'm concerned about right now. Very first kale. That's the one I'm concerned about. Hello. So yesterday, all of these plants were riddled. Oh, there's another. So I missed some. Oh gosh, there's another couple on there. I missed a few. So my first job this morning, get my little plant pot, is relocate those little pests, I'm going to put a glove on for this, to the compost heap, which is what I did yesterday. So I picked them all off, I put them in the compost heap, but I did then feed them. I gave them a load of kale. That may have defeated the point, I'm not sure, but yeah, I don't know, if they're going to get eaten by birds in the compost heap, I'd rather they do it on full stomachs. I don't know. These kinds of the blurry areas of veganic gardening, I think, and being just wildlife friendly gardening really. But I don't want them to eat all my kale, so I'm going to take off some of the lower leaves, put those in the compost with the caterpillars, and yeah, that's my best strategy at the moment. Now luckily they seem to be confined to that patch of kale, although I did notice a couple on these cauliflowers yesterday, which got a bit of white fly on now, but at the moment they look okay. So I think they just migrated across, but these aren't actually infested. But what I did notice yesterday when I was checking these cauliflowers is we have a tiny cauliflower. Hello. So I folded the leaves over to protect it a little bit, although that didn't particularly help the ones that were in this bed just here. They all kind of bolted, or yeah, just looked a bit weird in the end. So while we're talking about pesky things, blight. So blight update. Actually, doesn't seem much of an issue. Let's go check these ones down here. The ones in the little wardrobe drawers seem fine. On first glance, not bad. Loads of tomatoes. So these ones are the cerise, cherry cerise, and yeah, lots and lots of tomatoes in there. And I mean, that doesn't look, oh, I guess that, yeah, that's blighty, isn't it? So it's there, it is there, but it's not not completely destroying the plants yet. Bit of a bad patch in there. Oh, hello. Need to get you. Any green ones? I picked a big green one yesterday. Oh, there's some more. Oh, where are they? There we go. Some more going. Oh, there's one. Oh, with the flower on. And a big flower. Oh. That rather caught me by surprise. What else have we got going on? Tromboncinos still doing their thing. That's got a good end on it. And the flowers. And these squashes. There are a lot of the uchikuri ones turning orange now. So that's nice. They're such a lovely pumpkin, such dense flesh. Oh, plenty of courgettes in here too. Look at that big flower. Wow. I've been thinking about the tromboncino versus courgette thing, because as young tromboncinos, they're used in very much the same way as a courgette, but obviously you have the option of leaving them on as and to harden the skins and cure them for winter. So I was thinking, you know, you get these gluts of courgettes, and finally I seem to be getting somewhat of a glut of courgettes. But with tromboncinos you avoid that, because you just take what you want and leave the rest to cure. So yeah, and I like them. They're tasty. They're nice dense flesh, I think, compared to a courgette. But then courgettes are nice too. So many sunflowers now. Look at all these ones that are still yet to come. Are they coming? Yeah, they're coming off the stalk of this one because it's rather travelled. And this absolutely enormous beast with the huge trunk still has yet to flower, but look at the leaves on it. It's just incredible. I'm really pleased with the sunflowers this year, especially being that I put them in so late. And I think with this nice warm spell and everything catching up, it's made me think about, you know, one of the virtues of gardening, or I guess one of the virtues that it fosters is patience. And I was really worried I wasn't going to get any courgettes. Certainly was worried I wasn't going to get any tomatoes. But actually, you know, I'm just a little bit patient. It takes time, and it all comes in the end. So yeah, would I have liked some courgettes in July? Yes, I would have. I would have liked some in August. But am I glad I've got them in September? I am glad. Likewise, my corn. You know, it went in quite late. It's certainly not as big as other people's corn on the plot, but they are properly formed cobs, and the silks are going brown. I checked another one yesterday, and they're not quite ready yet, but I think another week, and we'll be eating fresh sweet corn. Oh, the squash doing in this bed, more tromboncinos. There's a green one. Yeah, this one doesn't look so good. I think we'll be pulling you off, but luckily we've got another one here, another one down here. Turk's turban-y one there. What's it called? Fungo. Fungo there. Any more, Dory? Some more chicory ones. Oh, there's my big fungo. I love this squash. I absolutely love it. I know I show it to you every time we're down here. Oh, I better check these kales actually. I didn't look at these yesterday. Oh no, they look immaculate. I have to get under the mesh to show you properly. Oh, I've pinned it down, didn't I? Maybe I'll just hold the mesh against it. But yeah, they are stunning kales. Barely a flaw on them. And still haven't done anything about this, other than harvest those Charlotte potatoes at the weekend. And the front of the plot still looks absolutely gorgeous. Still spend most of my time on the plot deadheading these cosmos, but I mean, it's worth it, isn't it? What a display. Anyway, on to Mark's plot, because this is where the other new additions are. So Mark's dad acquired quite a lot of, I think they're called pallet toppers. So they brought them over a couple of days ago, and we need some help. I mean, good grief. What on earth are we going to do with all of these? They're like little windows that you would have in a house if you were to draw it. But yeah, there's masses of them, and we need some ideas about what we can make with them. So, I mean, they would make ideal fencing, but as I've mentioned several times, we're not allowed fencing on our site. We could, I think, potentially get away with them using it as fencing, but putting netting in the holes and saying that actually they're growing structures. But we're not, I don't think we're particularly interested in getting around the rules. We thought about like fixing them as a kind of triangle, and then cucumbers growing up them, something like that. But I mean, you'd only need about 4 for that. There's about 40 here, if not more. The other new addition on top are these sheets of very pretty glass that were donated by my neighbour. So there's a few sheets of that, and we were thinking potentially use that as a cold frame, but also then a couple of cool bits of like window glass. So you know, people make those really funky greenhouses out of all old windows. I would love to do that, but so far we have 2. and I haven't put up the greenhouse that I've actually got. So yeah, I'm not sure if that's a project that would really ever get off the ground. Okay, so the last thing I wanted to show you is over in the perennial bed. And it's not the perennial kale, but I can't come by it without putting it on camera because what an absolute gorgeous beast. I harvested some leaves from this yesterday to give to Mom for her dinner, but what I'm thinking about now is propagating from it. So I think I mentioned I still had one kale plant, these are Tortondine, that I was saving for Liam's dad. Anyway, I finally gave it to him, to which he looked confused, and this is what Liam told me. He looked confused and then said, "I don't really like kale." Damn it. So that was a fail, but hopefully it's finding a home in his mum's garden, Liam's mum's garden. She does like kale. So but what I was thinking, because I had said to Mum, if he doesn't want my mum, if he doesn't want it, she could have it, because I've just given her one of the Austerian tree cabbages that I've been growing, and so now I haven't got that one. I'm thinking about how do I propagate from this one, and I mentioned Pippa Chapman in not last week's, the week before video, and so she's got a video on how to propagate from your Tortondine kale, so I'm going to watch that again and then have a go and yeah, get some babies. But what I'm actually here to show you is that little makeshift bed I made and put lettuce and leeks in. And it's gone off like Billio. It's brilliant. Look at these lettuces. How amazing do they look? I watered these last night and you can still see they're wet. But yeah, and here are the leeks and they're all fine too. Oh, I think my plot neighbour has come to say hello. There we go. Had our little chat. So what I did want to mention is, yeah, I'd been here last night and I watered that bed. I watered the raised beds that are just outside here with the carrots and the swede in and the beetroot. And essentially that's all I've watered on the plot pretty much all summer. So the pumpkin, everything had... Dory likes to say hello to everybody who passes. But obviously I watered everything when it first went in, but because we've had such a wet summer, everything just continued to be watered by the rain and I didn't really have to bother. When it has been a bit warmer, the only things other than those raised beds is the pumpkins, because I've said before, I'm very invested in these squash. So occasionally I've given them some water, but I would say 3 times each squash has had a watering can of water, and that's it. I may do them tonight because it has been so hot lately, but yeah, minimal watering on the allotment, and in part that is because of the rain, but also the clay soil. I've tested and you can dig down a little bit and it is damp. There is moisture in there. And plus, obviously I've been mulching the beds with the grass clippings as well. So what moisture is there is being trapped by the clippings. And this is great. I mean, this is what I'm aiming for, that the plot will be self-sustaining. So perennial things in there, roots in the ground holding moisture. These are the things that I'm aiming for. And I feel like I'm kind of getting there with the front garden. So I think it's time we head out from... well, it's becoming a very busy site this morning. So we'll head home and have a quick check-in with the front garden and the back garden. Okay. I've got to say, let's turn around so I've got it in the background. Oh, climb over the dog. I'm in love with this front garden. I feel like it's been such a triumph. It was great last year when it was full of squash. That was so much fun. But I feel this year that it's really finding its feet. It's like establishing itself in a kind of more long-lasting way. And so in terms of watering here, anything new that's gone in has obviously been watered. I have given the apple tree a bucket of water now and then because it's still new. But otherwise, yeah, it's just been left to kind of do its own thing. And it's really thriving. There is one thing though that I'm not so happy with. So these are the autumn fruiting raspberries, or should be autumn fruiting. And but as you can see, there is no fruit. There's been no flowers, and although growth has been strong, yeah, I'm a bit disappointed and can't understand it. And I don't think, you know, talking about not watering, that's the issue, because the downpipe from the guttering here, ooh, can you see it there, goes into this part of the bed, so they get additional water. So yeah, not quite sure. There's the Austrian tree cabbage, there's the kale, dahlias. Not sure why yeah, the raspberry hasn't fruited, which makes me think, is it actually a summer fruiting raspberry and I pruned it poorly? So should I just leave the canes and see if they produce fruit next year? But I don't know how that can be the case, because my cousins, and these are from my cousin, her raspberries are fruiting right now. Any thoughts? But yeah, on the whole, that bed, triumph. As we're at the back of the garden at the compost heap, let's check in on blight watch on the tomatoes. It's rather taken hold down here. So I've shown you this stalk a couple of times. You remember it just had a little black spot at the bottom, and then there was a tiny bit more black here. Now it's completely black. And it's spreading to the leaves as well. Not quite to the fruit though. There is fruit on here, so you can see the stalk. I mean, that's very obvious now, but the fruit themselves seem fine for the time being. So that was the worst one, but it's on here as well. It's on that one. It's definitely on the leaves of that one. Again, fruit's still looking okay. And yeah, it's on there as well. So we shall see. I'm still not clearing it. Oh, blueberries. Well, pink berries. These are the pink lemonade ones. Yeah, I'm still not clearing it because, oh, I don't know. You tell me whether it's a good idea or not. I thought I would leave it a bit longer, give the tomatoes a bit longer on the vine. And then when it's really looking awful, get rid and hopefully be able to ripen some of the tomatoes, or at least use them as green tomatoes. I like green tomatoes, I like frying them, they're delicious. But yeah, if you think that's a mistake, let me know. Jerusalem artichokes, absolutely enormous, still aren't flowering. When do they flower? This one that fell over, and I've got balancing on the fennel, and I've also put a stick in now. Look, it's got all shoots coming up down the side, so I assume I'm going to get more flowers all along. And I feel sure that Hugh said at one point, sorry, I had to take my arm over the artichoke then. Hugh Richards said at some point that you could purposely bend them down in order to get more flowers. So what do I want to show you in the home garden? Well, those potatoes, the Christmas ones are fantastic. The kale is fantastic. And I did want to, so I mentioned that I'd watered this morning. So the ground is looking quite nice in these beds. But actually they're really dry. They're really dry beds. And that slightly worries me. Because these are raised beds, I don't know. I think one of my things I've got to do over the winter is build up the organic matter in these beds so that they hold water better. I think when I made them, I put in a lot of sort of municipal compost, you know, just like green waste compost, and that wasn't the best stuff. Maybe I should have mixed it with some topsoil, mixed it with some other things, but I've got a big delivery of rabbit bedding coming tomorrow. So although most of that is destined for the allotment, maybe I'll be keeping some of the later batches for these beds. One thing that doesn't seem to be struggling and yet is a very thirsty plant is the beans. So I think these might be Cherokee Trail of Tears. They're not Ballotti because they don't look anything like Ballotti, so I don't know where those beans disappeared to, because both arches have got just the green pods. But so many, look. And it looks so great with them hanging down from the arch. I'm really, really pleased with how these went. And again, something that I put in late, but a little bit of patience, and finally, eventually, they do get there. These tomatoes that are in the mini greenhouses, seem fine. They still seem fine, so happy with that. One of the joys that I have had this week is this dahlia, the tartan. It flowered, so it was this stem, but it was very what I would call Raggedy Ann. it didn't look brilliant, so I took it off and I put it inside, but I wanted the energy to go into these two buds to see if those come out looking any better, but so far that's the only, excuse my washing in the background, that's the only dahlia to flower of my like fancy ones. Speaking of flowering, the David Austin rose is having another flush and it's just the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen. So happy with that. There's loads more buds on it and it's grown so tall. Lovely. And remember I was saying about my very first straw flower? Well, look who turned up in here. It's only a tiny, tiny bud compared to the other one, but I'm not complaining. That's my second straw flower. When you've got two, it's not a fluke. Then you can grow the things. The other straw flower I've now cut and I've hung it upside down in the shed, took all the foliage off the stem and hung it upside down, and it's such a lovely red colour. I'm very hopeful that it will dry nicely and I can put it on my Christmas tree. Sorry to mention the C word. Brassicas, of course, but seedling wise, everything's looking very nice and healthy. Oh, sorry, bee right in my face then. All right, Dory. These cabbages, my cabbages never look that great. Perhaps they'll be all right. And I've still got some beetroots. Some have gone in, some are still there. But yes, everything's good there. And so these were the later sowings, and down here were the later sowings. So lamb's lettuce. What else have we got? The lettuce. What does that say? Oh, flashy lettuce. That's the flashy one. Chicory. Tarragon is even there. Look, a couple of tarragon. Dill. Wongbok. More lettuce. So yeah. And I've got these ones in the greenhouse. They're still just coming up. Some of the delphiniums have come up there. So that's all good. Oh, I'm rather squinting into the sunshine here. But just to say, because the sun has been so hot, and yeah, really baking down on those seedlings when it gets to late afternoon, I've just been pulling some netting, like fleecy stuff over them, just to give them a little bit of protection. And I've got this bit of netting here that I've just been putting over the propagator for those seedlings as well. That's better. Oh, you've got a leaf in the shot though. Out of the way, leaf. That was from the tomatillos, which are doing excellent. I can probably just bring one into shot here. Oh no, not quite. There we go. Get out of the way, leaves. There we go. So yes, those tomatillo plants really did need repotting, and it's given them a new lease of life. Here's the pineapple one, much bigger plant than it was, and one of the lanterns went, see one there, went brown, so it was ready to eat. And oh my god, it was delicious. That's the pineapple one, and it really tasted like pineapple. It is lovely. So I'm definitely going to try and grow those next year and do a better job. I did notice someone on the allotment has an absolutely enormous tomatillo growing in outdoors, so maybe that's what I'll try next year, do them out as outdoor plants. Oh yeah, I know what I wanted to show you in here. So this little aubergine, almost ready to pick that one, because this is the check early, not very early, but they don't grow too big. And there are two more growing just here, and there are a few more baby ones around and about. But check out what I found this morning when I was watering. Look at one of these ones, stripy one. Oh, what's this called? Aubergine jewel, purple jewel, something jewel. But I had loads and loads of these last year, and they only grow that big really. I can probably pick that one now, and but they're super. Oh, where am I putting this camera? There. Yeah, they're super because they're so easy to use, because you could just kind of chop and go for it. Oh, hello spider. There's so many spiders about at the minute, isn't there? I've seen other people talking on the socials about all the spiders that are congregating in their greenhouses. Cucumbers are still coming really well, so very happy with those. And the tomatoes, they are ripening. They're getting there. I've been picking a few, so as soon as something is ripe, I'm tending to pick it, so that the others get the energy to ripen. There's still no signs of colouring on the big beefsteak ones, really. But the St. Pierre, sorry for the dodgy cameraing, there, that's just starting to colour up, so that's exciting. Oh, and yes, this is tigerella, so that might be ready. It's still quite firm. We'll give it a little bit longer. Oh no, scrap that, I got that wrong. I always get mixed up the tigerella and the green zebra. I think the tigerella is going to be green as well, but it's not. That's a red one with the gold stripes. So it's the green zebra that I have to keep an eye on, because they're not so obvious when they're ripe, because they're still green. This tigerella is about ready. There you go. You can see the gold striping on that one. Oh yeah, and that's got a little squeeze to it there. That might be on my lunch later, just to prove that the cucumbers are still doing well. There they are. There's one over there. Whoops, sorry spider, I went through your web. Whoops. Where's that one? There's one up there. There's that little curvy one down there. So still plenty. Whew, getting warm in this greenhouse. I'm sweating a bit. So I guess if there's been a couple of themes running through this week's video, other than just showing you around, it's been to talk about watering and the extent to which we water. The tomatoes, for instance, I have been watering every 4 to 5 days, like clockwork, and quite thoroughly. But I'm just starting to pare back on that now, so I'm still watering into the pipes, so that water is getting deep to the roots, but I'm doing less surface watering for each individual plant. What I have also planted in this bed, in between the tomatoes, is some dwarf beans, which whipped up. They're really quickly established themselves. No flowers on them yet, and actually they're growing quite tall. I'm hoping that they were dwarf beans and not agile runner beans or climbing beans. Anyway, they are starting to climb up the tomato stalks a little bit, which is fine. We'll see what they do. If nothing else, it's roots in the ground. And that's part of this watering thing, I think. Roots in the ground, mulching, getting organic matter into the soil. These are the things that I want to continue working on and thinking about. And I guess the other theme is this idea of patience. And, you know, I'm so chuffed now that I'm getting tomatoes, even peppers are ripening, and the cucumbers and things on the allotment. The squash look great. The sweet corn are nearly there. These are the things, you know, that I probably spent too much time kind of kicking myself a bit for being late and looking at other people's and comparing. But actually, you know, some people's stuff, like one of the plots on the site, completely cleared their sweet corn weeks ago, and yet I've still got mine to look forward to. So there are advantages to being a bit late to the game. Of course, the only thing is if you lose things to the first frost. I've just given you your breakfast. Go eat it. Yeah, losing things to the frost, like I did with my straw flowers last year and with the Physalis or Physalis. I don't think I'm anywhere near getting Physalis this year anyway. They've not even flowered yet and they're still tiny. So you can overwinter them. They are potentially perennial. But I had no look at that last year. Maybe I'll try again. But yeah, like the aubergines, I mean, so many of these plants are flowering now. Will there be time for all of them to fruit? I'm not sure. But I'm getting some, and it's exciting and fun, and that's what we do it for, really. And these two bees are going absolutely mad for the aubergine flowers right now. Now, I don't think I could count it as a full video if I didn't do one job at least, other than picking caterpillars off of kale, and it's a rather odd job. And again, I'm asking you lots of questions this week, but if you think this is a stupid idea, let me know ASAP before I stick it on my compost. So I used to have fish in my ponds. When I first moved here, the fish lived here. The lining got perforated and the pond at the back lost all its water. I had to move the fish to the little pond at the front here, and in the end I filled in that back pond, and that was my first growing space, my first plot in the home garden. All the fish were in this little pond, and it was too small a space for that many fish, and they started to die, and it was really horrific and horrible. And anyway, there are no fish anymore, but I still have fish food. And it's been sitting in my lean-to for 2-3 years. It looks exactly the same as it always did. I've been slightly worried about it living in there, that it's going to attract rodents or anything, but nothing seems to want to eat it. It's well out of date as well now. And I kept thinking, can I just throw this on the compost heap? But as I say, I don't want it to attract rodents, and it does have all sorts of weird ingredients in. Including crude protein, crude fibres. So my thinking was to dissolve it in water and then add it to the compost, because it's got a lot of vitamins and minerals and things in. I googled this, and Reddit seems to think it's a good idea. Do you think it's a good idea? So what I'm going to do today is stick it in the water and let it dissolve, and wait for you to comment and tell me whether you think I should or not. Otherwise, yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going to chuck it then when I've got a horrible, sludgy, fishy mass. Anyway, that's the job we're going to do. Right, smells a bit bleh. I've just covered it over so nothing gets in there and tries to eat it and drowns. Yeah, let me know what you think about that. So several things today. Let me know what you think about what Mark and I should do with all those pallet toppers. whether this is a good idea. And I had another question, didn't I? What was that? Oh yeah, the blighty tomatoes. Do you think I should actually get rid now or wait a little bit longer while they're still okay? Well, thank you for joining me on my morning dog walk and potter around my growing spaces. I think now I'm just going to pick a few blackberries and have breakfast and then get to work. Take care.